Sawadee Kap. Alright, today we learn about the fun and exciting techniques of sped reading or speed reading. It helped me a lot. I learned how to do it at a pretty young age, and I read a shitload of books. So I saved, I don't know, thousands of hours by speed reading. So he's gonna give you a little Cliff Notes version, quick condensed version of how to speed read. But if you're interested in it, if you like doing what he teaches you here, you can go ahead and learn more about it, more of the techniques. Get further into it, read faster if you want, if that's something you want to do. If you don't read, don't worry about it. How to read 200% faster in 10 minutes. There'll be times when, it's true, you will have to read. Here are 4 simple tips that will lessen the damage and increase your speed at least 200% in 10 minutes with no comprehension loss. Wow, okay, usually you have a little bit of comprehension loss, so this is interesting that he's saying you understand everything you read. 2 minutes. Use a pen or finger to trace under each line as you read as fast as possible. Reading is a series of jumping snapshots called saccades, and using a visual guide prevents regression. So by forcing your finger along the thing like that, you control the speed. You force your eyes to read faster than they would on their own with a pencil or a finger. Try it and see if it works for you. 3 minutes. Begin each line focusing on the third word in from the first word, and end each line focusing on the third word in from the last word. In other words, make the margins smaller. That's a technique I'm familiar with. This makes use of peripheral vision that is otherwise wasted on margins. For example, even when the highlighted words in the next line are your beginning and end, focal points, the entire sentence is read, just with less eye movement. So he has once upon a time and decided, and those are highlighted, as you can see. So when you just glance at that, what you see once, even though you focus your eye on a, because your peripheral vision will see once upon and then time information addict decided. If you're focusing on that, your eye will see to detour or detox. Okay, so once again, there you go, speed reading. I'm not sure about the 100%. I saw DETO and my mind automatically filled in the word detour, but really it needed that X on the end. And that could be because I have dirty glasses, who the hell knows. But anyway, yeah. So it's not 100%. He says it's 100. It's not, but you'll get most of the words, which if you really think about it is what this entire book is all about. Getting the most benefit with the least effort. The least effort is narrowing the margins and forcing yourself to read faster. And the other technique that I learned was to skip articles of, the, and, those are unnecessary words that you don't need. So just focus mainly on like the verbs and the nouns. Move in from both sides further and further as it gets easier. Yeah. So that you're basically just focusing on the middle of the sentence, the middle, 8 or 10 words in a 20 or 30 word sentence. 2 minutes. Once comfortable indenting. Oh, okay, so I'm getting the idea now that you're supposed to do the first thing for 2 minutes. Use a pen or finger for 2 minutes to read faster. Then for 3 minutes, begin doing the margin thing. Begin narrowing the sentence and focusing a little bit in from the left and a little bit in from the right. And then as you get comfortable doing that, you can squeeze it even tighter. Okay, now for 2 minutes, once comfortable indenting 3 or 4 words, attempt to take only 2 snapshots, also known as fixations, per line on the first and last indented word. So now you're breaking an entire sentence up into just 2 chunks, 2 snapshots in your mind to put them into your head. Per line, less than 3 minutes. Practice reading too fast for comprehension, but with good technique, using the above 3 techniques for 5 pages prior to reading at a comfortable speed. This will heighten perception and reset your speed limit, much like how 50 miles per hour normally feels fast, but seems like slow motion if you drop from 70 miles per hour on the freeway down to 50. To calculate your reading speed in words per minute, and thus progress in any given book, add up the number of words in 10 lines and divide by 10 to get the average word per line. Multiply this by the number of lines per page, and you have the average words per page. Now it's simple. If you initially read 1.25 pages in 1 minute, or an average of 330 words per page, that's 412.5 words per minute. If you then read 3.5 pages after your training, it's 1,155 words per minute, and you're in the top 1% of the world's fastest readers. So if you ever gone to the gym, which Tim is also big on the gym and the body, you lift more than you can really lift. You push up higher and higher weight, 1 rep or 2 reps, with the idea of getting more muscle, so that then you can then work at 70% of your max weight. But you push to do 1 or 2 reps of higher weight, once a week, once a month, depending upon your goals, in order to, be able to lift more weight on a regular basis. And then, like I said, once again, you go down to 70% of that, and that's what you do your sets with, right? 3 sets of 8 reps, or, depends on what exercise you're doing and what your goals are, what you're trying to do with your body. So same thing, by speed reading past your comprehension level, that stretches your brain and your eyes and gets them working quicker, thereby forcing you to read faster. You just, pushing it, like pushing up weights, like lifting more than you have lifted in the past to try to get bigger muscles. Q&A, questions and actions. So, that took 6.5 minutes to talk about speed reading. Wow. Learning to ignore things is one of the great paths to inner peace. Robert J. Sawyer, Calculating God. Never heard of that book or the author, but there you go. Learning to ignore things, one of the great paths to inner peace. Go on an immediate 1-week media fast. Oh shit, you should go on a 1-year media fast, in my opinion. The world doesn't even hiccup, much less end, when you cut the information umbilical cord. To realize this, it's best to use the Band-Aid approach and do it quickly. A 1-week media fast. Information is too much like ice cream to do otherwise. Okay, I'll just have a half a spoonful is about as realistic as I just want to jump online for a minute. Go cold turkey. If you want to go back to the 15,000 calorie potato chip information diet afterward, fine. But beginning tomorrow for at least 5 full days, here are the rules. No newspapers, magazines, audiobooks, or non-music radio. Music is permitted at all times. No news websites whatsoever. CNN.com, DrudgeReport.com, MSN.com, etc. No television at all, except for 1 hour of pleasure viewing each evening. No reading books except for this book, and 1 hour of fiction. Pleasure reading prior to bed. No web surfing at the desk unless it's necessary to complete a work task for that day. Necessary means necessary, not nice to have. Unnecessary reading is public enemy number 1 during this 1-week fast. What do you do with all the extra time? Replace the newspaper at breakfast with speaking to your spouse, bonding with your children, or learning the principles in this book. Between 9 to 5, complete your top priorities as per the last chapter. If you complete them with time to spare, do the exercises in this book. Recommending this book might seem hypocritical, but it's not. The information in these pages is both important and to be applied now, not tomorrow or the day after. Each day at lunch break and no earlier, get your 5-minute news fix. Ask a well-informed colleague or a restaurant waiter, anything important happening in the world today? I couldn't get the paper today. Stop this as soon as you realize that the answer doesn't affect your actions at all. Yeah, it's basically worthless information. Most people won't even remember what they spent 1 or 2 hours absorbing that morning. As someone who has read exclusively nonfiction for nearly 15 years, I can tell you 2 things. It's not productive to read 2 fact-based books at the same time. So if you're reading a nonfiction, just read one nonfiction, and then the other reading would just be for pleasure, because you're not trying to remember that. You're just reading it to, enjoy the story. And that doesn't mean you can't learn from nonfiction too, but that's not the point of reading the nonfiction book. And fiction is better than sleeping pills for putting the happenings of the day behind you if you have trouble sleeping. Be strict with yourself. I can prescribe the medicine, but you need to take it. That's the key to this whole friggin' book. You have to take the medicine he's prescribing. Or not, but then don't expect any change in your life, right? Download the Firefox web browser, firefox.com, and use Leech Block, Leech block, to block certain sites entirely for set periods from their site. Okay? You can specify up to 6 sets of sites to block with different times and days for each. You can block sites within fixed time periods between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. after a time limit, 10 minutes in every hour, or with a combination of time periods and time limit, 10 minutes in every hour between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. You can also set a password for access to the extension options just to slow you down in moments of weakness. All right, he's studied the human condition and he's found it lacking. Honestly, if you got to get to the point where you need a website to stop you from surfing, you got more problems than not being a successful entrepreneur. But whatever. Maybe that helps somebody. I don't want to be harsh and judge, so maybe that helps somebody who's struggling, having the discipline to do what he's talking about. I agree 100%. You won't miss it. I have my morning routine, and part of that is getting on social media and seeing what people are up to back in the States, since I live in Thailand. Seeing what my friends are up to, birthdays, things like that. But I don't spend 4 hours a day on Facebook, so it is what it is. When I have work to do, I do the work. It's just I don't have that much work to do because I don't want to say semi-retired here. So either semi-retarded or semi-retired. I'm not sure which one. But yeah, I mean, if you struggle with discipline, this might be a hard one for you. But if you can, go ahead and take a chance on yourself and limit your social media interactions every day. I think you'll see positive results almost right away. Good stuff from Captain Tim. He's the man. I will talk to you tomorrow.